Hey everybody, welcome back to Minibike Mike's Garage. So as you can maybe tell, I'm out in the woods, out on a gravel road, and I'm on the little ST90, and I'm trying to get in some gravel road riding in preparation for my trip that I'm taking out to Cass, West Virginia on September 19th, riding with subscriber Ben. And we're going to be riding on roads that are similar to this. There will be some pavement, but there's going to be a lot of through the woods. Now, my state forest that I'm in, it's a fraction of the size of the riding area that Ben has out there. And he has a much varied type of surfaces to ride on. There was some slick rock and some things, but I don't get a lot of experience in gravel. So I wanted to take the bike out. And what little bit of experience I do have is on a Trail 70 with smaller tires. It's these 14-inch tires. I wanted to get a little bit more practice on those before I headed to Ben's ride. So I've made some changes to the bike since the last time you saw it. It may look very, very similar. I mentioned in the last video, I'm not a fan of a manual transmission, especially on a ride like this, where I'll need to be feathering a clutch and going up some inclines and doing some things. I just much rather have a semi-automatic. So I've got a different engine in the bike. It's a Lifan 125 semi-auto. So I've pulled the other engine that I had that I put the 141 kit in, but that's not dead. I went ahead and ordered a cam and cam gear and valve spring kit for that, which will hopefully bump that engine back up to what I had hoped just that the piston and cylinder would do. We'll see. That comes in a few days, and I'll get that installed, and we'll put that engine in a bike and do some more testing with it. I did, before I pulled the engine and swapped to this, I did do some more testing, and I did buy one of the Bart Moto big bore exhaust. I'll add that footage in right here. So before I take it down off the table, give you a little bit better look at it. It did clear, barely clear, so I could put my engine guard on there. But very nice looking exhaust. So let's get it down off the table and see how it sounds. Choke. All right, let's see what happens. Definitely a deeper, meatier tone to it. Warm up, baby. Well, that didn't last long. You might notice that I'm putting the exhaust I originally had on the bike back on the bike. I hate to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but that thing is way too loud for me. I plan on riding this bike 1,000 miles, and I want to be as comfortable as possible. And having that loud exhaust drone in my ear, even with a full helmet on, wow! It stopped. It's probably 5 inches shorter, and so I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't know if this extra length pushes it, but I couldn't do it, guys. I rode the bike about 6 miles, went down through the country, came back, and I don't care if it adds 15 mile an hour to the top end. That damn thing is just way too loud for me. Maybe if I was 20 years old, I'd like it, but at 60, nope, not for me. Not when I have to ride this bike that kind of distance. I want it to be an enjoyable ride, and I just don't think I would feel that way about that exhaust. That is absolutely not a knock on the exhaust or anything like that. I'm sure it's fantastic exhaust. And like I stated earlier, it's extremely well built, but it's just not for me and my riding comfort. Okay, so just putting that out there. Don't hold anything against the company I bought it off of or against the exhaust. If you're looking for something that's a little deeper tone, throatier, it's perfect. But yeah, that's not what I'm after. So sorry to say, that just was not my style of exhaust. I'm sure it works great for others, but it just didn't suit the needs I needed. This thing is super quiet, and I am just having a ball riding this bike. I've put about 400 miles on it since we pulled it back out of storage. I did about 300 with the 141 kit, and then I put about another 100 miles on this engine, trying to get it good and broke in before I take off for West Virginia, because that's a brand spanking new engine that I put in there. So along with getting some more practice on gravel roads, a couple of other things I wanted to accomplish in today's ride were to check out my gearing and check out my carburetor. Now, the inclines, the hills that I have don't compare, again, do not compare to what Ben has in West Virginia, but this little state forest that I'm in actually does have a couple steep little places that I can just put the bike in first or second gear and just let it just crawl up. And that's what I wanted to make sure was going to be good, because on Ben's ride, we may be at quarter throttle or less on quite a bit as we're just crawling along some of the slate rocks and so forth. And I wanted to make sure that the Nibby wasn't going to stumble and fall on its face and do those types of things. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't have it geared so high in my attempts to get road speed up. I also wanted to make sure that it was going to be good, for crawling around at 10 to 15 mile an hour. And I got to say, so far, I'm pretty happy with it. We'll have to see what happens when I get to West Virginia and ride with Ben, but it's just putting right along. Hey guys, I'm going to jump in here real quickly before the video ends. I want to finish a couple thoughts that I did not get on video yesterday when I was out on the ride. First one is, you might notice I got a different bag or a different way of packaging my gear than what I did on the Lake Michigan trip. On that trip, I had that great big pack out box, and I just didn't need anything quite that large for this trip. I was carrying parts and tools and stuff for 4 bikes last time and 4 people, and seeing that I'm by myself, I was able to condense it down. And so I picked up this little soft bag off of Amazon. Rhino Walk is the I guess the brand on it. Very comfortable. It kind of molds to me. I can lean up against it. It's kind of nice. It's actually expandable. It's got some zippers that will on each end that actually will make it a little bit longer if you need more room. I kept it as compact as possible. So if you saw that in pictures, that's where that is. Then the other thing I want to touch on, go back to the engine change. One of the reasons that I took out the other engine and put this 125 in is because I really want to say I made this trip with a 125cc engine, with a smaller engine. I don't know why. I don't really have a good reason, but me being a Lifan 125 guy and having built, more bikes than I can count with that engine, I'm kind of associated to that engine. And I really wanted to be able, at the end of this, when people ask what I rode, well, I rode this bike and it had just a 125cc engine. So that along with the semi-automatic transmission played a big part into why I took the other engine out. There was no issue with the kit or anything. As a matter of fact, I'll turn the camera around, and I did get the cam and stuff. I'll show you where I'm at on that before I put it back together. Well, as you can hopefully see, I have already, in preparation for getting this kit, I had already disassembled everything out of the head and have it ready to go. And did this a few days ago, and then I was waiting on this kit from T-Bolt, which has the springs and the cam and the cam gear in it. So I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to get a chance to put that in. Hopefully in the next day or so I'll get this installed in there. We'll put all this back together, and we'll try and throw it in a different bike. I know Brock's CL70, he wanted, he really likes a manual clutch and manual transmission, and he wanted a little more giddy up in that. So I imagine that's where this engine will land, in that orange CL70 that you saw Brock ride on the Lake Michigan trip. Thanks for following along. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next video.